This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather in New York and Connie Chung at the Winter Olympics in Norway.
Good evening. The U.S. government today acknowledged one of the biggest espionage cases in American history. A senior officer of the Central Intelligence Agency and his wife are under arrest tonight, accused of spying for the Kremlin for years. This is an incredible story. We have a series of reports about it. First, correspondent Linda Douglas on how the couple allegedly sold out their country and how they finally got caught.
In a stunning sign that the Cold War may not yet be over, Justice Department officials today charged Aldrich Ames and his wife Rosario with spying on America for the Russians. Ames was arrested on his way to his job at the CIA, where he has worked for 31 years. In the 1980s, Ames was the head of Soviet counterintelligence, a position with top-secret clearance. Today, the FBI combed through the Ames Arlington, Virginia home. Investigators believe the couple was paid $1.5 million for spying over 6 years. Neighbors remembered thinking it was odd that they had so much money living on a government salary.
They bought this house for cash at the top of the market in 1989, paying over $400,000 for it. And they also bought a brand new Jaguar and a new car.
According to court documents, beginning in 1986, Ames held numerous meetings with Soviet embassy personnel, which he did not report. Later, he made frequent large deposits of cash. Some was deposited in Virginia banks. The FBI charges Ames communicated with his Russian handlers through an elaborate signaling system, leaving chalk marks on certain mailboxes near the Russian embassy, indicating that documents were stashed for pickup in nearby Washington neighborhoods. Last year, the FBI bugged the Ames home and later secretly entered the house. Neighbors note sadly that the couple has a 5-year-old son who is now with family members.
I don't know them, so I wouldn't know whether they were the type of person that would do this sort of thing or not, but you never think there's a spy in your neighborhood.
The couple will be back in court on Friday. If found guilty, they could spend the rest of their lives in prison. Linda Douglas, CBS News, the Justice Department.
The CIA now reportedly says that it suspected there might be a mole in the agency as far back as 1985. Ames had been under investigation for a couple of years. CBS News national security correspondent David Martin has been checking into Ames's background. David, what did you find out?
Well, Dan, one of his former bosses called Ames a, quote, lazy, incompetent alcoholic, unquote, and another said he was a third-rate officer. But I have to tell you, whenever an intelligence officer is exposed as having worked for the other side, everybody who knew him invariably says they always thought there was something wrong with the guy. But if you look at his career, he served for 31 years and was never more than a mid-ranking officer. So his performance must have been fairly mediocre. And you know, it wouldn't be the first time an intelligence officer became disgruntled and went over to the other side because he'd been passed over for a promotion or a pay raise he felt he deserved.
Well, David, Ames clearly had a key position at the CIA, so I guess one question tonight is, what kind of information could he have provided Moscow?
Well, one officer who once headed the division where Ames worked said he had, quote, enormous access, detailed access, anything he wanted, unquote. Ames specialized in recruiting Soviet officials and intelligence officers, so he was in a position to reveal the identities of CIA agents inside the Soviet Union. The arrest warrant mentions one specific agent he allegedly blew in 1990, a KGB officer whose CIA code name was Prologue, but I'm sure there were many more.
David Martin, live at the Pentagon. Thanks. Betrayal on a wide scale, if this tale is true. President Clinton says that he's taking the Ames case very seriously, partly because of that. He ordered an immediate damage investigation today. However, the investigation will be done by the CIA with some help from the National Security Council. Still to be determined is the impact on relations between Washington and Moscow. CBS News White House correspondent Rita Braver has that part of the story.
President Clinton returned to the White House to huddle with his national security advisor and discuss what to tell the public about the espionage case. The problem for Mr. Clinton, how to take credit for spy busting without getting into the delicate long-term implications for U.S.-Soviet relations.
I have been kept informed of this investigation for some time now. It is a very serious case. We will be immediately lodging a protest to the Russian government. And because of the nature of the case, there's really nothing more I can say at this time.
The CIA is still doing a damage assessment and, as is usual in these cases, hoping for detailed information from the accused spies. But the affidavit in the case alleges that in 1990, Ames told his Russian handlers about a KGB officer being operated as a human asset. That means spy by the CIA. The situation is somewhat sticky for President Clinton, who's flaunted his friendship with Russian President Boris Yeltsin. CIA Director James Woolsey briefed the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee.
Anybody who views the Russians as somehow doing a 180-degree pirouette and becoming our closest allies is just wrong.
But administration sources tell CBS News that under the new U.S.-Russian relationship, Russia will be allowed to voluntarily withdraw its diplomats who worked with Ames, rather than having them expelled, as would have been likely in the past. Rita Braver, CBS News at the White House.
Good evening. The deal is done. CIA turncoat Aldrich Ames pleaded guilty today to spying for the Soviet Union, and he agreed to cooperate with investigators in exchange for lenient treatment for his wife. Ames himself will do hard time. We have the latest tonight from national security correspondent David Martin, who broke the plea bargain story earlier this week.
Before being sentenced to life without parole, Aldrich Ames spoke publicly for the first time about his 9 years of treachery. He admitted giving the Russians the identities of virtually all Soviet agents of the CIA, as well as a huge quantity of information on U.S. foreign, defense, and security policies. It was, said the prosecutor,
the most damaging spy case in the history of this country.
The government listed the code names of 9 Russian military and intelligence officers who served as CIA agents, all betrayed by Ames.
Mr. Ames caused the death of these people as surely as if he had pulled the trigger.
He traded people's lives for $2.5 million.
Ames spent much of the money on a new house and car, now forfeited to the government, along with any money that remains in overseas bank accounts.
This plea agreement and the accompanying order of forfeiture leave Mr. Ames and his wife penniless.
Ames said he started spying to get out of debt, but kept on because he disliked the right-wing policies of the Reagan administration and believed the CIA's operations were a self-serving sham.
Mr. Ames was trying very hard today to keep from admitting that he had done this strictly for money.
Crying softly, Rosario Ames pleaded guilty to lesser charges and could get out of prison after 4 years, provided her husband tells the FBI everything about his work for the Russians. The deal spares the CIA the embarrassment of a trial.
It looks suspiciously like the CIA not wanting to be in open court with the incompetence of their investigation, the failure of their internal security mechanisms being exposed for all the nation to see.
Ames will undergo months of questioning, but his attorney says he does not have an answer to the most pressing question, the identity of any other Russian moles inside the CIA. David Martin, CBS News, Washington.